the last 3 years, you won 2. And the men's come very close. Last season, is that last season they came become second or 2 years ago?
Yeah, no, that was well, we just wrapped up our season in March, and our men at SECs finished third. At NCAAs, we had our highest finish in about 10 years. We finished 7th at the national championships.
7. Okay. All right.
Women won the SEC championship in 22. We were second this year. And we finished 8th at the NCAA championships this year. And that was our highest finish in quite a while also. So
quite a while. Okay.
Coming off a really good year.
I think with the experience that you have in the university, I was, watching some videos right there on the university. The facility is just an outstanding. Oh my God. The facility is something that, not everybody can have a facility like that. Let's put it that way.
I mean, we are so blessed here, and I know you come from a baseball background, but every sport that we sponsor here, swimming, baseball, football is obviously on TV quite a bit, but softball, basketball, rowing, we all are very fortunate to have top-notch facilities. And so we can attract people from all over the country and all over the world who want to come here and pursue their sport at the highest level. Facilities are a big attractor for sure.
Excellent. Now, Coach, let me ask you something. I always ask, one of the first questions is, what inspired you to become a swimming coach, and what do you enjoy the most being a coach?
Yeah, I think, I have a few memories that made me think, wow, this is something I really want to do. And I think a few of them are really around the fact that I was able to push myself in swimming past what I thought were my limits. And I remember how great that felt. And it was almost always just at the end of a practice or in the middle of a practice, I would have an assignment and think, man, this is going to be really hard. And I get in it and think, I can go faster. I can go harder. Or I have a teammate racing me. And that's really the essence of competition, is being able to pursue a challenge with other people. They could be on your team, they may not be on your team, but you're with them. And when that becomes a habit, then your life changes. You start really questioning limits. And I thought, the guy that did this for me, actually there are two. One was my high school coach, one was my college coach. And that was a process, over a number of years, who these men just challenged me to be better. And I thought, boy, if I can help somebody find what I found through swimming, through me coaching them through this, then I feel like I could do that for the rest of my life, and I'd never feel like I worked a day.
Excellent.
You can get paid for this. This is awesome. This is some of the best stuff in the world. I think when you talk about raising kids in our sport and in any sport, what I just talked about and what resonated with you was the process of getting better, and it's the process of getting better, which I think is intoxicating. It's not the results. Although the results are what you set a goal and you anticipate the results, and that gives you kind of that dopamine. It's like, I'm going to get better, but it's actually going through the process of working hard, failing, working hard, failing, working hard, and then having some success that keeps you coming back. You learn from the failures, you learn from the successes, and it's not a straight line, but it's a trend towards getting better and being successful. And I think as parents and as coaches, if we reinforce the behaviors in our kids that are really around taking risks, putting yourself out there, working hard, doing things that are in their control, that are all about the process, then and say, hey, isn't that fun? Wasn't that fun to just work hard today? And forget about the result. Wasn't that fun to push yourself past a limit that you thought you had? Wasn't that fun to race the guy next to you? Again, doesn't matter who won. Wasn't it fun to just race and get in there? Then to me, that's what the greatest athletes and the happiest athletes, that's what keeps them coming back. It's not the results that validate everything else. It's the effort validates the results in a lot of ways. Like, you put in great effort, whatever result you get is going to be great information for you to put in great effort again the next time.
Question, without a question. Now, Coach, let me ask you something. How the landscape of college sports recruiting, have changed during your career. What do you see the difference between back then and now, and what do you think is the biggest challenge student athletes are facing right now?
I think by far the biggest changes, Ronnie, have been driven by social media.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Because there's a lot more information out there, for younger people. So, for instance, before Instagram and Twitter, there you could find information on a program, but you had to go looking for it. Now it's coming at you. It's coming at the kids. And when they're 13, 14, 15, and it's starting to trickle down even more, 12-year-olds are getting this information. Well, social media presents it in a way that makes it look pretty and appealing, and very difficult to separate what's real, day-to-day life, from what's been curated and just presented to you on social media. So whereas it used to be, people didn't really think much about where they're going to go to college until maybe sophomore year in high school.
Correct.
And then a little more junior year, but they weren't making decisions until senior year. Now they're starting to think about it in 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. They make a decision early on in their junior year, some of them before that. And it's all driven and steered and manipulated. Like, we know how social media manipulates us. It's being manipulated on the other end. And so we as coaches have to fight that battle. Like, we want to compete, but we're going to put information. So we're going to put information out there about our programs. We want to put a happy song to it, and we want to show people having a good time, and we want to show people swimming fast and brag about our stats and that kind of stuff. But we forget that the mind of a 14, 15, 16-year-old is really still developing. And
yes, sir.
And they're a lot easier to manipulate. The younger a human being is, the easier they are to manipulate. The older we get, the more we know, we get a sense of what's real, who's trying to sell us something, who's trying to fool us. And so I think that's the world we're living in now. And that presents some ethical challenges for coaches. And it really presents some challenges for both parents and athletes to decide, okay, what do I really need to know about a place? When do I need to know it? I don't need to be thinking about it when I'm 14, I don't think.
Correct.
And how is this information being presented to me? Is it objective? Is it fair? Like, am I falling is a triggering emotion that's going to be real when I see it in person. So I think those are probably the biggest differences.
It is I look at it this way, and when I have the opportunity to present and talk to parents and student athletes when I do conference, I think social media, I see it, it could be good or it could be bad, right? And I don't know, I have a lot of respect, for regulations and the whole deal, right? The NCAA, the whole right? But I think that, like you mentioned, a kid, who is 12, who is 13, 14, they don't know yet what to do, coach. They don't know. I mean, they're confused. Yes, the parents are pushing. Yes, social media are pushing. But realistically, it's them who have to make the decision, if you're not mistaken, right? I mean, they're the one who have to take that the path, right?
Right. It is their life. It's their path. Exactly. They're the ones who have by far the most at stake. And there's actually, I mean, people used to make those decisions their senior year in high school.
Exactly.
And for the most part, they ended up fine. So they weren't thinking about it.
So what's your take on because I have the opportunity to talk to some coaches in the podcast and everything. There is some coaches that are looking at 8th grader. What's your take on that? I mean, did you start looking that young of athletes, or what's your take on when you started looking for athletes?
Well, for us, okay, that's one side of it, is us evaluating people. Like we want to know who's coming and what they're doing. But we should not be able to influence them until they're ready. Until they're ready to make that decision. And even people who commit to colleges their sophomore year, I mean, I know we have teams here at Tennessee who have gotten commitments from 8th graders. That person's not going to show up on the college campus for 5 years.
Exactly.
That person going to change in 5 years? Absolutely. The changes from 13 to 18 are, I mean, as big as any span in human development.
It's astronomical. Yes.
And so to make a decision when you're 13 about where you want to be when you're 18 requires a tremendous amount of maturity and a tremendous amount of trust and faith. I mean, is that coach going to be there in 5 years? Is the team going to look the same? And the answer is obviously we don't know. So from our perspective, like, I want to know who the best 8th and 9th graders are in the country so that I can watch them and get to know their swimming and their development.
Most definitely.
But I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to try to influence. I can't legally try to do anything. So I think as coaches, we want information. We want to know the picture of what's out there. I think for the athletes though, it's just really important to try to put this decision into perspective and to make sure that the pressures that they feel are coming internally, not externally.
Yeah, correct. And now, do you think the biggest challenge the athletes are facing, the student athletes are facing right now is social media, probably?
I think so, just because it's so hard to, I mean, when you're a young adult or an adolescent, your biggest challenge for a human being is figure out who I am. Like, what do I stand for? Who am I? And social media never gives them a break. You can look at it at any time. Now you can impose that yourself, but they're, this thing is always telling you who you should be, right? Like what you should buy and what this famous person is doing. And so it becomes more difficult, I think, to figure out who you are. Because those influences never stop.
Which that brings into a very delicate topic, which is the mental scenario, right? The mental health you know, which I know you guys have an outstanding program right there. You got help at the university with, you know, for the athletes and actually probably for the student as well, you know. But that's, yeah, I think, yes, without a question, you know, that social media, it's a huge impact. Now, Coach, you know, what do you look into a potential recruit when you start looking recruits, and you know, and how you identify the athlete in order for you to say, okay, you know what, you are a good fit for my
Yeah.
program? How you do that, Coach?
So it starts with a simple question, and it is, how can this athlete help our team reach our goals? How can they help us get better? And there's the performance side of it, and then there's the side of it where you have an impact on the culture of the team. And you know, to be brutally honest, the higher the performance side is, the more this can slip. And I'm not saying, and this is with the understanding that somebody's idea of how to be on a team and be a great teammate and to help a culture, like those are things that we want to help them develop through college, so through being on a team. So people may not be great developmentally in terms of, you know, their sense of other people, but if they're really fast swimmers, then, you know, we'll put in the time to help bring this side up, right? And hopefully we have people who maybe here and need to get faster in order to really help us in terms of their swimming or diving ability, but their resilience, their sense of other people, their work ethic, their attitude are at such a high level that, number one, we know that this is going to predict success. Okay. And number two, we know that this is going to make our team better and have an impact on other people. You know, we go to a conference championship with 22 athletes, and if each person can, just through their attitude and their work ethic, be responsible for one point in every other person's performance, we're 22 points better, and they haven't even swum or dove yet. So those are the things we try to balance. Now, there are some non-negotiables. If somebody is really fast, but they blame their coach, they're disrespectful to their parents, they you know, they have a history of lying, or we can't trust them, I don't care how fast they are. So those are the things that just can't fit our program. Because those are very difficult things to overcome, and not places where we want to spend our time. Like, we want to talk to people about how to achieve high performance.
Excellent.
And a lot of that's reflected in the way that their teammates and coaches talk about them. It's, you know, we watch them interact with their parents, and we try to have conversations with them that, you know, get them to talk about the way they see the world.
Excellent. And now, I know swimming, you know, I mean, I love swimming, don't get me wrong. I think that's one of my favorite sports when it comes to the Olympics, you know, which I know you're being extremely successful by bringing in a few of Olympics, you know, few team, you know, guys that you have over 14 guys going to the Olympics already.
Yeah. So in the last Olympics, we have it up on a banner out there. We had 2, 4, 6, 8 Olympians in the last Olympics. And then in the next Olympics, I mean, our goal, we have about 14, 15 that have a chance. Yeah.
So that's beautiful. So here, you know, help me out here and understand, you know, like the parents that are listening to this. I have a book here that's supposed to, I don't know if this book is BS, and excuse me the expression, but you know, they're talking about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Do you follow those guidance? Because, you know, like in 50 frees, you know, you have to be 5'7" and above. The time needs to be 22.29, you know. above that. Do you look into those guidelines, like a 500 frees or 100 backs, all that? That's for the women's sides, right? That's for the women's sides without a question. Now for the men's it's different. So is that true that you follow those guidelines, coach, or that's just
I think that's somebody trying to be helpful.
okay.
And that, I mean, those times sounded like, those are pretty fast times. And what we do is we have, and swimming is very objective, right? So like you go a time, it doesn't matter whether you do it in Venezuela or Montana or Tennessee, the time is the time because the distance is
correct.
So, and that's different from other sports where like you may bat 500, but you're playing against, people who aren't very good pitchers. So we have times that we know have qualified for the national championships, and another level that have qualified for the Olympic Games, and another level that have scored at the NCAA championships. And so we use those times as indicators, but we just know, okay, how much better does this person have to get in order to reach the next level? And what is that level? So if their next level is scoring at our conference championships, we want them to be pretty close. If the next level is scoring at the NCAA championships, well, they can be a little bit further away because they're already going to help us. So yeah, we definitely pay attention to time.
Two times, yeah.
Where context is important is, we've recruited people that we have recruited people before that don't have a pool, so they swim in a river. We've recruited people who can only swim in a short hotel pool. So
interesting.
We think that,
interesting.
Yeah, and that's unusual.
That's very unusual. Never heard that. Yeah, that's very cool.
So when they get into a standard size pool and have, instead of 4 hours a week, they can train 15, 16, 20 hours a week, then we think that they can get a lot better. So that's where the context becomes important. Like for instance, the best swimmer in let's say we had a Venezuelan swimmer. His name was Octavio Alessi. And he now he could be the best swimmer in Venezuela and be the best swimmer on our team, or he could also be the best swimmer in Venezuela and be kind of in the middle of our team.
Without a question.
Yeah, and if that's the case, then he may not have a lot of competition every day. So all right, we'll bring him in and see how he does with more competition.
Excellent. Now, Coach, before we go, I have a couple more questions. Like I mentioned before, I know you have a very tough. Well, the schedule is not out yet for the next season, but I know you play against Georgia, against Virginia Tech, you name it. Some of the top universities I've mentioned. What have been some of the most memorable moments for you? Because you've been 4 times, SEC a coach of the year and all that, right? So how take me over what would be the most memorable moment for you, and how can you take that to influence all the coaches are coming, new coaches and assistant coaches and all that, for you as a leader, and leadership right there?
That's a great question. And I think I would answer a couple of things. One is, I came to Tennessee and we weren't very good at all. And 16 years later, we won an SEC championship. And that's after, I was at Richmond and won 4 consecutive Atlantic 10 championships. And I was at Brown, we won 3 consecutive Ivy League championships. So long period without winning a conference championship. But boy, did I have fun. It was fun to build, and it was fun to come close. We came close a couple of years. We were 3rd at the national championships the year we were 4th at our SEC championship. So, we finished higher nationally than we did in our own conference because we were just better 4 weeks later. But the one meet that I can count on every year to be just really enjoyable and rewarding is our senior meet. That's the last time that our seniors get to compete in our home facility. To be able to
Beautiful.
watch somebody in their last home competition after recruiting them and knowing them for 4 years and watching them grow. I mean, every time it's so emotional and so rewarding because we get to see
I'm
I
getting the
know.
chills. Just thinking about it, I'm getting chills right now.
I mean, and I have these, these images of these seniors coming through my mind. They grow so much and they go through such hard times, and they all end up coming out the other side better. And they all, and I know they're about to go out into the world. Some of them will continue to swim, but most of them will do something else. But I know that they have an experience of being on a team, working with other people, pushing their own limits. They've created an experience that's going to change their lives, and that's just incredibly rewarding year after year.
Excellent, man. Excellent. That's an unbelievable closing, to be honest with you. Oh, I got one more before you go.
Yeah,
what should I expect from you as coach? This is one of my favorite questions. If I'm looking at Tennessee, I'm ready to make the call. What should I expect from you as coach in order for me to make the decision?
Are you asking what you'll expect from me as a coach if you come here and swim for 4 years?
Yes, sir.
You'll expect my absolute best effort in helping you achieve your goals. And that means that I view my job as I'm a guide, I'm a partner. And when we partner, and if I have a good sense of the path that we need to be on and you divert from the path, then I'll be honest with you about we need to get back on the path. And here are some things that I think are pulling you away. And I'm also going to listen to you because you're the one, as you said, it's your path, right? It's the athlete's path. And, and they can see it sometimes better than other people. And I want to be part of that ride too. But the one thing that I can tell you is I'm going to give you my absolute best effort in helping you achieve your goals.